This conference will now be recorded.
Yep, just welcome to COVID. My husband will walk in the middle at some point, but he's quiet.
Welcome, everybody. Give folks a few more minutes to roll in here.
Hello.
Hello.
My apologies, I struggle with lighting in this corner at night. In the day, I look great. I got one of these.
Oh, nice. I got a big like loop thing that is super helpful because otherwise
I'm gonna have to shop for lighting.
yeah, I'll send you a link to what I have.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Happy to see you all. I'm wishing we had time to do a little check-in with all of our guests here for our annual meeting, but we decided it would probably take too long. Well, in the interest of staying on schedule, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our annual business meeting for 2020. I am your president, Michelle Renee. Very happy to be serving in this capacity this year, and our vice president, Sherry Aldrich, will be helping me moderate today's meeting. So we'll just review our agenda a little bit. Naomi, you can go to the next slide. So here's our board of directors. We're all here today to present the updates from our various committees and introduce ourselves a little more fully to you in case there are some of us that are new faces for you. I think this is such a great opportunity for you to get to know your board of directors a little better, as well as to see what we're up to in our various committees. So we'll do more complete introductions as we go here. So our agenda for today, we're gonna just do a little welcome, a little president's report, vice president's report, and then we'll spend just a few minutes on each of our committees, saving time for some question answer at the end. So if you have thoughts as we go, please jot them down, or you can put them in the chat, and we will address them before we adjourn for the day, hoping to wrap up around 7 o'clock or so. All right, so starting with the president's report, I'll just start by saying it's been such a bizarre year, you know, for everybody. Between COVID and the civil unrest, it's just been pretty unbelievable. No business as usual for us or anybody else. And so the first thing that I wanted to share with you is how we have decided at AFMTE to respond to these unusual times that we're in. So earlier in the year, you'll recall that we had a number of COVID-19 related webinars. It was just a great opportunity for us to put our heads together and not all be on our own trying to respond as educators to something that we couldn't have imagined before, right? Moving to a completely virtual space for teaching manual therapies. And the response to that was very positive. I think we got some new members through that process. Our educator community had an opportunity to come and see what we're about here at the Alliance, and decided to join us. So that was really wonderful. And it was such a positive experience doing those webinars that's something that we would like to bring forward into the future as well. So we're exploring our options right now for new webinar concepts, whether those be one-offs or series, whatever is needed for our community. So we're in the process of sending out a survey for you to tell us what you're interested in, what you need, and then we will build that into our offerings for the future year as well. The other thing that we did was we discovered that a lot of the recommendations that were coming out were really not specific to educators. So we put together a small group to think through what it is educators needed to consider in terms of COVID-specific recommendations, and we vetted that through, had a number of other people review that and give us some additional feedback and their thoughts, and ultimately we published these COVID-19 recommendations for educators that are available on our webpage. So that was another project that we did. And then the last thing I'll share that was very specific to this year was we put together a racial disparities task force for massage therapy education. That's been in process for the last several weeks. And we just are wrapping up that work right now, coming with some recommendations for the board of directors to consider ways that we can be more mindful in terms of racial disparities in massage therapy education. So we'll be sharing a little bit more with you about that later on today. But those are the things that we have been doing this year specific to these particular times. And then of course, Naomi, you can go to the next slide. I'll just share a little bit about our teacher training and certification. As you know, that this is a huge project we've been working on for many, many years. You all are very familiar with this. We put together our teacher training curriculum. And so one of our bigger projects earlier this year was to decide how to do that. Is that something that the Alliance wanted to continue working on as an offering, or is that something that we wanted to partner with other educators for them to create? And that's the avenue that we decided to take. There are a number of educators who were really interested in putting together teacher training and using that curriculum. So we've decided to freely share the curriculum with a contract that notes that the Alliance put together the curriculum and that really prepares people to go through that portfolio process and become certified as an educator. So we have been reviewing portfolios and sending out certificates. And we want to really acknowledge the support that we've received over the last couple of years from AMTA and ABMP. AMTA supported us through some grant dollars to get this project off the ground, and ABMP has offered some support for you to go through that portfolio process and get certified with their financial assistance. So I want to just make sure I point that out because I believe you have just a couple more weeks to take advantage of that. If you've not yet done that, you maybe want to take a look at that. The project that we're working on right now is again a task force to really take a hard look at that certification project and think about how we need to tweak it, how we need to shift moving forward to make it even more successful. So a couple of the areas that we're looking at is, of course, adding in more content around the virtual space and making it accessible, more accessible for continuing education providers. So stay tuned for that. We're in that task force process right now, and we'll come up with some new recommendations, do a little bit of pivoting for the year or two to come, especially in these new circumstances we find ourselves in. All right, so now I will hand it over to Sherry Aldrich to introduce herself and do the Vice President's report.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sherry Aldrich, and I own 2 massage schools in Washington State. I have campuses in Tumwater and Vancouver, Washington. And each year, we're graduating between 100 to 150 students here between the massage program and also a certified personal training program. I joined the board this year in September, so somewhat feel like I'm still getting my feet wet to what an amazing program this is. And these amazing people here, but also navigating my school through COVID has been, probably one of the biggest challenges professionally that I've gone through. And I'm sure everybody would agree with how challenging this has been. But as the vice president, my role is to assist Michelle as the president and and whatever capacity I can. Also to perform duties of the president if she's gone. Fill any vacancy in the office of the president until the next election, but we're not letting Michelle go anywhere. So and then my role is then also to perform the role of the committee whip. And so if Naomi would go, there we go. And so my responsibilities are to oversee the function of all committees. And again, being new to the board, I've been working at learning what all the committees are about and meeting, trying to anyways, meet with each committee member, not chair, individually to learn more about them. Working at maintaining helpful communication with all community leaders, committee leaders, and then provide any feedback to board liaisons and committee chairs on issues where the board's will is documented to keep committee on the intended track. And primarily then what I've been doing, Naomi, if you'd go to the next slide. I think I've done that. Oh, I have 4 slides. Refer all other issues to the board for resolution. Make sure that board liaisons and chairs know that they can contact the board for resolution of disputes between the committee whip and the committee, and report regularly to the board and/or executive committee regarding committee activity. And again, I'm new and getting my feet wet through all of these processes. And then again, Naomi, to the next slide, thank you. I have been meeting with most of the committee board liaisons in November to discuss opportunities, challenges, and vision. Working at setting quarterly group committee meetings for 2021, where I feel like if we collectively can get together and solidify what everybody's working on to make sure that there's cohesive action moving forward for the Alliance, that will really give us some good direction. And then I also feel really strongly about helping to create a vivid vision, which will work on creating an ecosystem in conjunction with Strategic Planning Committee to create a vision on what the Alliance could look like in the future, and using goals from all committees, again, to create this vision of what the Alliance is going to look like in the future. And when completed, it will weave into the culture and decisions and provide clear goals for all to strive for. So that's what I'm working on for 2021. Hard to believe we're already getting there. And next up, I'd like to introduce to you Sandy and the Treasurer's Report.
Hi, I'm Sandy Mason, and I am a continuing education provider. Although I have not actually taught continuing education since COVID, I'm still negotiating that because what I specialize in is paranasal sinus drainage. And from all reports, it's not a good time to be touching people's faces. So I'm putting that on hold for now. I'm also an instructor in a massage program and am currently, just recently, the interim program coordinator at Forsyth Tech Community College with 8 instructors underneath me. I've been treasurer since 2017. I work with the monthly balances, reports, paying the bills, oversight of the bookkeeping. My goal for 2021 is to reinvigorate the finance committee with the completion of hiring a new bookkeeper. I'm very excited about her. She comes so well recommended, and we've very strongly vetted her. So I'm looking forward to having that assistance because it's going to make a big difference, I think, in just my duties and all of that. As far as the report, the slide goes, we've got an operational budget. I think the budgets are available for all the membership to see. Is that right, Michelle?
Yes.
And yeah, so our focus has been on promotion for the teacher certification, and with varying degrees of success, trying to get people to participate that and do a lot of marketing, some financial investment in that. And thank you again, as Michelle had said, to the AFMTE for their generous funding, and ABMP, who has done matching funds for their membership if they wish to get teacher certification. Next slide, Naomi. So we have 2020 in review, just like all the rest of us. it's not a great year. I'm going to point a finger strongly at COVID. I know that one of our biggest revenue producers is our membership, which is very low, but it's not hugely low. It's just at the low end of normal. And also our Congress, which if we don't have one planned, then there's not a lot of advertising or support coming in for that. So one of the reasons that these are two reasons why we have a deficit. Also, we did spend money for promotion of the teacher certification. It didn't pick up quite as quickly as we thought it might. So we are re-looking at that, as Michelle has already mentioned, and I think Tracy also already mentioned. If you have any questions. Okay, Sherry.
All right. Moving on then to Jenny and the Educational Congress Planning Committee report.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Olson. I am the liaison to this committee. I'm also in the industry as the executive director of the Massage Therapy Foundation, and I'm I guess not going to be new that much longer, but I'm new as of March to the board, and I'm happy to be here and to work with the Alliance kind of in a dual role and have the foundation and the Alliance work together as much as possible and collaborate. Working on the Congress, as others have mentioned, COVID has obviously been difficult, like everything else about this year, but it's been eased by our committee members who are up here, and it's been a great group that it has expanded. And I also want to acknowledge, because this Congress has been run very well for many years by former ECPC chairs, Sheree Sonenmo and Nancy Dale. So I did want to say that out loud and acknowledge all their work for many, many years. And my appreciation for that, and I think everybody on the board's appreciation for that. And want to announce very excitedly that actually just as of tonight formally, Jeff Foreman will be serving as the new committee chair for the ECPC. He has been serving on the committee for, I think, since I've been here, so for about the last 9 months, and we're very grateful to him for stepping up. So things are working well as our committee has congealed, and we've been going back and forth over these months to figure out what was the best route for the ECPC and for the Congress itself. Naomi, if you can move slides, thanks. Just in case everybody, doesn't already know, but this committee's mandate is obviously to oversee and the operations of having an in-person, usually Congress every 2 years. And the mission includes, to foster dialogue, inquiry, creative problem solving between and among the organizations and individuals involved in massage therapy and bodywork education. So we are working on that. And for 2021, we did decide to, in our navigations of planning for 2021, to have it be virtual, and it will be at the end of July, the same time period. We're working on the exact framework, which everybody should be alerted to in the next few months. So it will be virtual. There were just, we tried to keep it face-to-face and talked about a hybrid, and we've been around and around, but we felt it was safer and safer economically, and with, with members' money, to make sure that the least risk we could take, and it's tough to ascertain that risk. But so we will have a virtual Congress next July, and then to follow, we will go back to where we originally were to be in 2021 for a hybrid Congress in July of 2022. So the good part is it's kind of neat that we'll have some really solid back-to-back education. Because there have been so many changes, and we really want to be on the forefront of what is important to everybody, and particularly right now because there has been so much change in under a year. A survey that we've been working on will be going out to all members looking for some specific input to topics. We actually had a schedule ready to go just to, so it doesn't look like we haven't been doing anything. But we realized and kind of stepped back when we had the schedule almost set that we need more input. And we really wanted to make sure we were, again, at the forefront of what the needs were for members, particularly since things are changing so swiftly during these COVID times. So expect a survey to come out in the next week or so, and we encourage you and you that are here this evening and any of your friends or colleagues to please fill it out, because we really want everybody to tell us and what is most important to them in topics in education. And then also our call for speakers will also go out shortly. And from there, more on sponsorship and registration in, I would say, the first quarter of next year will be starting to go out, so everybody knows more about what's going on. Yeah, so look for e-blasts and keep checking in with the website. We're trying to keep that as updated as possible as things are shifting, from day to day, week to week, as we all know, with everything going on in the world right now. And then also, as we are kind of working parallel, more should also go up for the 2022 Congress as well. So where you might not hear about 2021 quite as far out, you'll hear more about 2022 probably earlier than usual. So I think that's it for now. We hope that everybody will consider, if you're interested, applying as a speaker. If you are interested in serving on the Congress Planning Committee, we would welcome some more new faces. There's a lot to do and a lot of segments within the committee, with helping with marketing and with organizational planning and educators. So please let us know if you're interested. If you or anybody you work with, a vendor or your school or someone individually would be interested in sponsoring either the 2021 or 2022 Congress or both, please feel free to reach out to myself or Michelle or Sherry in particular. Or if you have a suggestion for a sponsor as well, we're very open for your input and suggestions, and again, encourage you to come to one or both, hopefully, and more to come in what hopefully will be a much better year in 2021. Thank you. And I apologize, I do have to depart. I'm actually heading to another volunteer obligation I have this evening, but I appreciate the time to speak to everybody.
Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right. Well, next up we have Stan with the Leadership Development Committee report.
Okay, this is, to me, one of the most important committees that the organization has. If the organization were a tree, the Leadership Development Committee would be the root system of that tree. The members, with Deborah Curtis as chair, and Tim Herbert, Joe Lubow, Sue Bibick, Don Hogue, and I'm the board liaison, it's a very seasoned group. Deborah and Joe have been with the LDC for the entire time the organization has had an LDC. Tim Herbert joined soon after that, and Sue and Don are both former board members who wanted to continue to serve in some capacity and joined the LDC because they had a good fit. So this is a great group. The charge for the LDC is pretty much the same every year. This committee works to cultivate and recruit members for the board, for committees, for task force. They give advice to the board on request. They serve as the nominating committee for new board slates, and they interview the board every year to get a sense of what the board's needs are, and then they create a slate of folks to replace the board members who are leaving, or to add to the board when it's required. They also prepare the slate for their own committee is an elected committee. So the board and the LDC are the two parts of this organization that are elected by the members. Go to the next slide, Naomi. Kind of a lag on not showing up on mine yet. Here we go. So actually, I've covered some of this already. They develop the slate, they do a needs assessment, and then they oversee the elections that take place annually. When we have a face-to-face conference, they oversee an election in person at the meeting that takes place during the conference. On the off year, when we don't have an face-to-face conference, they do an online election. And this year, because we're having a virtual conference, will be an online election. Normally, this would be in person, but that'll happen next year. The current needs of the committee or the organization that the LDC will help populate is a governance committee. Currently, the executive committee has been performing the function of governance, and we want to reconstitute the governance committee and repopulate it to take that burden off of the executive committee. The board has recently voted to create a new standing committee on equity, diversity, inclusion, race relations in general. I think we may fine-tune the name of that committee, but the LDC will help find a chair and members for that new committee. Because we basically have one board liaison per committee and one board member has one committee, we have one committee for each board member right now. And if we add another standing committee, we may need to add another board member. That would require a change in the bylaws. The LDC has recommended a workaround, and if that's delayed or is not decided on, that we don't expand the board, and that would be to have the chair of the committee attend board meetings and do reports until we decide whether or not to add a 10th board member. So then there are other committees that need to have more members added: membership, marketing, and conference planning. Membership and marketing you'll hear about after me. Conference planning you've already heard about. So there'll be at least one or two for conference planning, a couple for marketing, and really more of a broader slate for membership. And the LDC will interview and recommend people for each of those positions. So I can't say enough about the strength of this group and the leadership. Deborah and Joe have been on this committee for at least 10 years, Tim for probably about 8, and Sue for, I don't know, 4 or 5. Dawn's just joined it this last year. They really do a tremendous job, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Thank you, and back to you, Sherry, and you can introduce our next presenter.
All right, thank you so much, Dan. And next up we have Randy with the Marketing Committee update.
Thanks, Sherry.
Thanks,
So I'm Randy Clark. I'm the president and owner of the Center for Neurosomatic Studies, which is a almost 1,300-hour program in, we're here in Clearwater, Florida, and it's kind of a hybrid program of personal training and massage and what we call neurosomatic therapy. So I've been on with the Alliance for a couple of years, and now the board liaison for the marketing committee. And I've got some really cool people on that committee with me. We are pretty happy with our group, but we are always looking for more because we have this wonderful job of telling everyone how amazing the Alliance is and why they want to join it. Is that there's a lot of things that the Alliance does for its members, and there's good reasons to be members. And it's also our job. We're kind of excited about a new project we're doing that is going to be adding more benefits for being a member of the Alliance, which I think is very exciting, and probably the biggest thing we'll be doing in 2021. And so I will tell you a little bit about that. So what we do, we submit the 2021 marketing plan to the board, and revamp the marketing plan for the certified educator. The social media content, we do work with that. That is something that we work with Naomi, and we have a outside company that does help with the social media content. And so whatever you see on our Facebook page and those sorts of things is generated partially from the marketing committee. We're an idea group. We meet and do some brainstorming and do some really fun stuff that I think is those meetings are always fun. I always enjoy our meetings because it does stimulate the brain and make you think outside the box a little bit. And so we provide ideas for the newsletter, the website, ads, press releases, emails, marketing campaigns, those sorts of things. And so some other things that we do, and we recruit and track the new members. That's going to be us and the membership committee now that we're going to separate kind of into two, but I think we will work hand in hand with membership committee. Right, Rebecca? Yes? Okay, good. So we will work hand in hand with the membership committee to recruit and track the new members, which I think we're going to be doing a lot of. There's some really fun stuff on the horizon here. We're going to promote the virtual conference once things get finalized a little bit more, kind of where that's going to be. That's new for all of us, and so how that's going to be held, we're going to get all that information out to our members and potential members as well. And then of course we report what we're doing back to the board every month. And then our next slide, we're going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do in 2021. 2021, the big thing that we want to try to pull off here in 2021 is getting a meeting of some sort of educators, to do basically continuing education for educators on a regular basis. We're going to try to do this kind of in person and virtual, and one of the great things about 2020 is we've all gotten much better and more comfortable at doing virtual stuff. So there are things that if we bring in speakers, people who can help teachers become better teachers, we can do it on a much larger scale. We can do it with teachers from all over the country all at once. So we've got some really exciting plans with that on kind of which way we want to go and getting those things lined up. The lunch and learns are actually, we're going to be working through the massage school owners. We think massage school owners will be very excited about our new program because it will make their teachers better teachers, which will help with retention of their students. and that's a big thing for the owners, is holding on to the students they have. Also helps with school reputation and those sorts of things. And that kind of leads into making their teachers, they're kind of leading them towards being certified by the Alliance here. So by making them better, making the school better, we think that the owners will be the ones kind of driving the membership of their teachers in their school, and kind of pitching why they should be in the Alliance to their own members, to their own teachers, which I think is going to be great. And so those are those monthly CE meetings that we were talking about. We're going to probably start them locally first, just to kind of work out some bugs, and then I think we're going to launch this on a much larger level and really expand this to teachers all the way across the country, which I think serves our members and kind of serves the purpose of the Alliance, right, is to make teachers better teachers. And so we're really, really excited about this. And certainly we meet with the other committees on a semi-regular basis to make sure that the exciting things they're doing get promoted out to the public and to the members as well. So if any of you are as excited as I am about all of this stuff and want to be part of this committee, we are always looking for people who want to kind of join in and help launch these new and exciting ideas that we have. So certainly contact us, let us know. We are inclusive and take anyone who wants to be a part of this, which is really great. You want to come in, we'll be happy to have you. So Sherry, I think that's all I have. If you want to bring on the next one.
All right, thanks, Randy. Next up, we have Rebecca with the membership committee report.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca Fairway. I was previously part of the marketing committee, and so the membership committee is a new breakout. About me personally, I own a massage school, Zion Massage College in St. George, Utah. We're right next to the national park, Zion National Park. We have about 70 students, and we focus on a blend of Eastern and Western body work. And then I also own a couple of spas that focus on Eastern body work. And I also own a continuing education company called Study Healing. So with the new membership committee, Michelle Cordero is from ASIS, and we're going to have our first meeting next week. So we're really, really new. This was, as I said, underneath the marketing committee and has recently been split out. So we really need people to be part of the committee with us. And so we really need to get that established. So we're looking for volunteers, but our focus is definitely on growing the membership. We all know that this is vital to the health of AFMTE and vital to our ability to really have an impact and help educators in the field of massage therapy and body work. So we're really committed to that. This is a very short report, though, because we're just getting started. So Michelle and I have our meeting next week. We're recruiting members for the for membership committee. Sorry, I was part of marketing committee for a couple of years. So for membership committee, I'm having withdrawals. And I'm really hoping that we'll find some great people. I know we will. And I'm really looking forward to growing the membership in 2021. It's really time to have a robust membership with AFMTE. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Rebecca. And next up, we have MK with Strategic Planning Committee.
Hi, all. I am MK Brennan, and looking at the folks that have joined us on this call, I know or have met most of you. For those who may not know me, I am not an educator. My role has always been in leadership in associations, including the national president roles of AMTA, president of S4OM, executive director of the Polarity Therapy Association. I've been on the AFMTE board now for a couple years since our last time to get together face-to-face for a Congress. And my one piece that I am in massage education, massage and bodywork education, is I've been a CompTIA site evaluator for well over 10 years, if not up to now. I lose track of time, but it's been a long, long time. So in my role on the board, I am the liaison for the Strategic Planning Committee, and we didn't have a chair, so I also served in that role. You'll see the members here, and I am very grateful to them. And for a while, Jeff was on it with us. Other than Stan and myself from the board, we had Denise Logston, Sherry Mantow, who had been on the previous Strategic Planning Committee, Wayne Mylan, and Elizabeth Schrader. Our charges were, what we did was we revised it through the time that this committee started, frankly. We were going to develop a strategic plan and look at normal scheduling for one, looking at 1 to 2 years and 3 to 5 and 5 to 10. COVID then hit. We readjusted and went to providing information to the board instead for a 2-year strategic plan with benchmarks at 1 year, and then to look at conducting a new review in 2022 for that longer term plan, because hopefully we'll have an idea of some stabilization in our world, in our education at that point. We did send out a survey to the membership and got feedback, and that was part of the information that we provided to the board. So then we went to the board, and the board established a subcommittee, so to speak, a working group to fine-tune the strategic plan ideas. And the next slide shows you who is on that. And fortunately, Wayne continued with us. It's Stan, myself, and we've got Andrew on it as well. So our job is to develop that 1 to 2 year strategic plan. Michelle has been on this as well. I'm not sure why you're not listed on there, Michelle, and I apologize for that oversight, because Michelle has been a very active participant in it. So we have reviewed that information, and part of the other review that we did was the previous strategic plan to see what was worth saving from that or could be dovetailed into what the Strategic Planning Committee had provided. We've narrowed it down to specific areas that will be developed out. They include infrastructure, and that's both governance and operations. So governance, the board, the committee, the board liaisons, all of that, our bylaws, our policies. And then operations, and that's the staff side, and how we really operate. With what we have in Naomi as staff and now a new bookkeeper, also are there other areas that we would want to enhance the operations. We're also looking at a category of education and educator support. And you heard some of that in previous slides that we would be working with. And part of that is educating the educator. So that's a piece. And then communication. And communication crosses all areas for the association, for the Alliance. So we're looking at what are our best communication tools to use, and how can we best meet the needs of the members through our communications. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, MK. And last of the committee reports will be from Andrew and the Teacher Resource Development Committee. Looks like you need to unmute yourself, Andrew.
Sorry about that. Hello, my name's Andrew Churden, and I joined the Alliance Board of Directors recently, and was excited that they had an opening for a board liaison for the Teacher Resource Development Committee. This is one of the backbones of the Alliance. The Teacher Resource is this collection of resources for educators. So supporting educators in how to improve their teaching skills, supporting teachers in how to support each other. The database has continued to go through updates. I'm trying to make it more user-friendly and accessible, and continuing to add more resources to it. And there's an addition to it where there's support also for massage therapy and bodywork teacher training programs. So people who are working at starting schools as well. We are looking.
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit, Andrew.
We also are continue to create opportunities for and perhaps the connection. So Naomi, can you switch to the next slide? Oh, I didn't mention everybody's members. So anyway, the committee members, Pete Whitridge, Arlene Hessler, and I can't, sorry. Rob Kelly, Kimberly Alexander, and Jody Wiley. So we can go to the next slide now. So one of the things we do of the committee is to maintain the database on a regular basis. We are looking to expand the membership program and roll out a group membership program early in 2021. We're also exploring different topics to cover for professional development, and we'll be working with the marketing committee on that to kind of continue what was started this year during COVID.
Did you freeze it? I wonder if you
trying to make more people.
I think we lost you for
people aware, improve the marketing education. What's that?
I think we
lost
lost you
for a second.
Naomi, would you go back to that last slide for just a sec?
Frozen.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
I'm
we go.
sorry. Yes. I think things are slow on my end because I'm not.
Yeah, there's a little lag between times with the slide switches. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So we're looking at ways to make more people aware of the teacher resource and what it has to offer, and we'll be, working with the marketing committee to continue promoting people's awareness of it. So we're also looking committee updates for the OI to write community alliances newsletters. Naomi, you can go to the next slide.
Coming.
So hello. Okay. So anyway, expanding the group. We successfully had the one-on-one mentorship program, and we're looking to expand to group mentorship program, and looking at different ways to share the teacher resources through different social media channels, and work with the marketing community, as I mentioned, with the webinars. We're also looking to create a list of topics of interest for the next educational congress. Naomi, you can. And as I mentioned earlier, we finished the group of also one-to-one mentoring programs. We have streamlined the resources have continued to improve, and the committee welcomed 2 new members and myself, and so we're all been getting acquainted with everything over the last few months, and look forward to continuing that. So we'll have this announcement early January 2021 regarding the group mentorship program. We're looking for around 2 or 3 different mentors and about 18 to 15 mentees. And always looking for new content and resources for the teacher resource as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. All right, we'll open it up to any questions that anyone might have for the board. I feel like we should cue the Jeopardy music.
Right.
I don't, this is Carol Osborne speaking.
Hi.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, everyone. I've really appreciated hearing from every one of you, and I know that your work is far beyond whatever you've presented to us in such a summary. I don't really have a question so much as I guess it's an esoteric question, because I've been out of teaching all this year. Continuing ed teaching is what I do. What's the feeling amongst you folks about where we really are going in massage therapy education? And perhaps there's been some kind of a forum for talking about this that I missed, but I don't know. I just would like to hear a few people's thoughts, like, are we really going back to hands-on education once this is over with? And how do we do that? And so, yeah, if anybody, it's not specific, but.
Can I answer this? Is that okay?
Yeah,
please.
Okay. All right. So, Carol, that's an amazing question. Thank you. I think we all are getting slightly different responses in our communities. And so even as a board, we may not have a completely unified perspective on this right now because, we need a little time behind it. But I've been teaching continuing education through the entire pandemic. We had a little break for a couple months. And then at my school, all of my students stayed in the program. So in my community, it's been a little different. We have social distancing. We now have COVID tests that we do weekly with our students. So everyone that is part of a class is required, a hands-on class is required to take a COVID test weekly with us. And we're set up as a CLIA lab. It's really strange times, right? And so I'm the one that administers the tests, and it's a really strange time, but we haven't seen a drop in the demand for massage therapy. We've actually seen an increase. And the students, we've really had mixed perspectives. We've all seen all of it, through our country, the different views and the different extremes. But we implemented social distancing. We require masks. We do the testing. And in my community, at least, it seems like there's a really high demand for massage therapy, and that things, when it feels a little safer to people, that they will go right back to attending continuing education trainings. Right now, our only limits with it are that we just have to create like literal space. So we can't fill a classroom with like 20 something people like we used to with our CE trainings. We're capping it at whatever that room can allow for social distancing, which is more like 8 people, 10 people, that's a 50% decrease in income for CE providers by doing that. So that's what I'm seeing. But I believe that it is going to go back to normal, but I don't know that I'm right. But my belief and my gut feeling is that we are going to return to the way things were, and that there's a high demand for massage therapy, and for also continuing education.
Thank you.
I'd like to chime in a little bit just with at the community college, we got an exception. Most of the college is not meeting face to face, but we are. And following the guidelines that the Alliance put out, and also, of course, melding in some of the ones from FSMTB. There's a lot of sanitation going on. There's social distancing, except, of course, when people's hands are on each other. We have such a small class that it was really easy to pair up students, so they only worked with one other student. I think that part is going to go away, but I think the sanitation procedures, I'm leaning towards keeping it. So there may be a new normal. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, Pete?
Jeffrey?
Yes, I'm chair of the California Massage Therapy Council, and we shuttered all the schools. The governor shut everything down. And in order to save the schools and the students, we had to allow for the first time distance learning and approve that in our programs. And, some of the schools are doing a great job. Some of the schools are doing a terrible job. Even in the same school, you have high quality and mediocre, to give them some. Okay, you got different levels of distance learning. And there's a push on us, on my board. Oh, we want to make this permanent. And no, I want to get back to hands-on brick and mortar schools, face-to-face education. And I'm going to do my best to keep that at bay, where this movement, they can get students from all over. I understand it's a way to make money. Well, we gave them the opportunity to survive by allowing distance learning, but I want to get us back to the regular education programs, because we don't know the quality of these graduates. And that's my concern. What is the quality of this person that has all but 75 hours of their massage therapy education online? And I don't see how they can be competent practitioners. And so I'm holding out, and I'm going to try to get us back to normal.
Mm-hmm. One thing that we've done is installed TVs around our classroom with a mounted camera above a table, so that the students don't have to huddle around the table and get in each other's bubble for the demonstration, but rather they can stay at their table. And then similar, I think, to Rebecca, who said keeping them partnered with the same person, or maybe that was Sandy who said it, but that is also limiting the amount of exposure to other people. And soon that'll be something that I'll announce to CE providers, and then I think CE providers should encourage buddy system of people coming to CE classes, so they bring their partner with them, and it's not important that they switch to different people, but they have one person that they're partnered with, and then utilizing social distancing through those through the class would be a way to encourage people to, again, come to a CE class. Yeah.
And that's not ideal, because you want them to work with different body types. You can't work with the same human all the time. You need large people, small people, skinny people, big bone people, so to speak. Okay.
I think that's extremely valid for a school, but if I was speaking more to the CE class, where they're already experienced and out in the field and working with people. But I agree with you. In my school, we try to get them to change partners every class after the first couple of weeks.
While this pandemic is going on, I understand the measures that you're taking.
Yeah. It's a great question.
Other thoughts people want to share on this topic? I have a couple once we have heard from others.
I appreciate hearing your perspectives, y'all. And if there are other questions, please, let's move on.
Okay, sounds good. I think that was such a great question, Carol. I think it's on everybody's minds right now. And obviously we're going to be in this situation for a little while longer. And I forgot to introduce myself a little more fully earlier on, but I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota at Northwestern Health Sciences University. We have a multidisciplinary institution with 1,000 students, and we are shocked to see actually that our enrollment is quite excellent across the board. So not only are we not struggling with massage therapy enrollment and all the manual therapies, the interest is still there, and students are willing to take those precautions right now. But if we look a year out, 18 months out, 24 months out, we will be able to get back to normal in whatever ways are really appropriate. And in the meantime, I think we have a real opportunity to learn how to do virtual learning well, right? There's high quality face-to-face learning and low quality face-to-face learning. And there is similarly high quality synchronous and asynchronous virtual learning. So we have an opportunity to get good at that, whatever it is we're teaching, and then take full advantage of our time in person together while we're in these circumstances. So I think, some things hopefully we will bring forward and do better and differently in the future because we've had the opportunity to learn. So those are just a couple comments I would share about it. Other questions or comments that people have?
It's so hard that we're not face to face because it's easy to get in groups and break out and have really spirited discussions when you're not just staring into a computer.
I just want to say a couple more things about the survey that is coming out to you. This question that we have about what you're interested in is for a number of purposes. Not only are we going to apply that feedback to our educational congresses for 21 and 22, but it also helps inform the webinar choices that we make. And, I think that this very question you asked tonight, Carol, is a really great example of something that it would be so wonderful to have an opportunity to have some discourse together as educators about what that could look like and changes for the future, but many of these other ideas as well that we're sharing out with you. So please give us some thoughts about that so that we can queue up some more opportunities, even though we have to be in a virtual space together, but we can have some conversation about some of these really important issues. I think this year is all about community, connection, collaboration, and finding a way to do that when we can't be face-to-face together. We can still have an equally high-quality community experience together, and we need it more than ever in many ways.
I have a question.
Yes.
What do you think we should charge for this virtual conference that we're planning in July? I mean, what are people charging for these? It'd be great to get feedback from this vast array of different people from all over the country, because the sooner we get the information out to the public, the better turnout we're going to have.
Yeah.
And not only for the participants, for the vendors. I've got a couple of vendors biting at the bit. How much are you going to charge? And so what are people charging at these conferences that you're all attending around the country? I'd love to have that feedback.
Thank you for that question, Jeff. Any thoughts from anybody who's here? We would love to hear about that.
I can just speak from my experience that I haven't noticed any pricing differences from being virtual to being in person. I haven't noticed any pricing differences.
I'm seeing
So-
some of that as well, and I'm also seeing a lot of last-minute decision-making about this. I'm watching very carefully one conference that's similar in some ways to ours, and that conference is happening in March, and they are still trying to decide what they're going to do for registration costs. So we're not the only ones that are sort of in this quandary of how to handle this, whether to handle it differently or not differently. Thanks for that, Sherry.
Mhm.
It's a great
have,
question because
Go ahead, Tim.
it's a great question because the material it's going to feel different because you're not face to face, and yet it's easier to get there. You don't have to pay money to drive, so you're saving money by doing it virtually, but you're losing that in-person feel. To me, maybe it's a wash. Go ahead, Randy.
No, just some of the ones I've been looking at, they actually have a tiered pricing plan that is like one price to be able to watch on one day, and then or 2 days, and then a different price if you want continuing education credit for attending, and then a different price if you want the continuing education credit and a recording of the actual presentation, and then a different one if you want a recording of all the presentations, even the ones you couldn't attend, so you could watch them later. I think there may be something different like that, like maybe there isn't one price to attend the thing, and maybe there is a tiered system, so that you could get in cheaper if you wanted to, but you also, it could end up costing you the same amount if you want to get credit for all the classes and that sort of thing.
Beautiful. And just for the record, that's a little bit what we have queued up. We just thought it'd be great to hear your thoughts and feedback as we're finalizing that plan. So I agree. I think that sort of tiered system is really helpful in this virtual space. Other thoughts? Carol?
A very, very incomplete assembly of data on my part. Just a impression that there seems to be some sort of a under $200 kind of marker that I've noticed from people who are very well known all the way to people who are probably well known maybe in their area, but it's not someone I'm familiar with perhaps. But it has looked to me like there's some kind of a threshold between $150 and $200. Just an observation.
Great. Thank you very much. I think our hope is that a lot more people might even attend the Congress this year because it's easier to get there, right? Because people don't have to plan the travel expenses associated. So hopefully we'll see some new faces join us this year.
I have one other thing, and that is just that this just seems like a ideal opportunity to use the Congress as a marketing event without it being a marketing event, because more people could just maybe, take a little sip and then decide they want the whole drink, So I would hope that those of you who are charged with creating the conference would, be putting your brainstorming, which I'm sure you already are, towards that this could be a great marketing possibility.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I agree wholeheartedly. Other questions, thoughts, perspectives?
Well, I might as well ask the continuing education providers, what would you consider if you wanted to have like a separate little room for extra time for question and answers for the services that you're selling. You know, what would be a good sponsorship fee to advertise your school, your program? I'm just along the same lines. I'm just trying to get information from around the country. So in other words, we were talking about possibly having different rooms where a vendor could have extra time with people if they want to spend a whole hour with you. Now, when you're working at a convention or a conference, you have a person and you're in the, you know, they're asking you questions for about 5-10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, maybe you do some hands-on with them. This is an opportunity to spend more time. So anyways, just curious about your opinions on that aspect of the virtual conference. I guess we'll come to our own decisions.
I think it's a great idea. I think that we need to set up something like that, but I don't think as a board we have fully kind of had that discussion yet. But I appreciate the thought, because certainly there's got to be some value for the vendors, and how do we provide that value for the vendors is a great question and a very good suggestion.
Nancy?
Nancy has her hand raised.
Hi, guys.
Yes, go ahead.
Can that be included in the survey that you're sending out? That particular question?
Good question. Yes, I will look at doing that. Thanks
If you
for that.
put a separate category for the Educational Congress and add the you know, a survey about for vendors and for separate rooms, and develop a list of questions that you could put out there, I think you'll get answers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to raise my hand because I don't have my picture on. But this is Deb Kimmett, and I'm a continuing education provider. And just wanted to say you guys have done a great job with everything that you're doing. But also, I think something that would help key the continuing education providers like that room might be really helpful, so that way schools that are looking for continuing education providers have an opportunity to network with each other, and that might be a really good thing to set aside as well.
Great, thank you, Deb. Anyone else? Feel free to speak up if we can't see you. This is kind of my favorite part of the meeting, where I get to hear from all of you.
Could I just make one comment?
Hi, Nancy. Sure.
Yeah. Jeff, if you have any questions or you want to run something by me at some point, given I've had experience on that committee, I'd be happy to do that with you.
I'll reach out to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Great to see you. If no one has other questions, I'll just share this as well. The other couple of things you're going to see on that survey are a couple questions about COVID and how it's affecting you, because I feel like that's really useful information for us to have as an alliance. Mostly in the interest of figuring out how we can best support our community. It's hard for us to see how to best support our community if we are unclear about the exact impacts on all of you. So we have a couple questions there on that topic. And then the other set of questions that are there are around racial disparities in massage therapy education, because as we started doing some information gathering, we realized that there really wasn't any official information for us to see about that. We could see some very general information nationally about massage therapy and representation, but that doesn't tell us very much about who's teaching in massage therapy, and also leadership and administration, national leadership, some of those kinds of things. So we wanted to ask you some questions about that, just to help us fill that gap of knowledge a little bit. And again, to figure out how we can best support our community around equity, diversity, and inclusion through that lens. And in future months and years, we will be transitioning to other lenses on equity, diversity, and inclusion besides race. That's just where we started, because we have such a clear example this year about racial health disparities, right? So we thought, well, let's just look at it from the standpoint of our profession, and what we do at the Alliance is massage therapy education. So we took that lens. So if you could help us fill that gap of knowledge, that would be super helpful. And we'll be gathering some additional data in the future as well. But just so you understand where those questions are coming from, that's really helpful for us. Carol. If you're speaking, I can't hear you. Are you muted?
Sorry. I think, I can't remember if y'all said that you already have in that survey questions specifically aimed towards CE providers.
I don't believe so. I would have to go back through and look with that lens. So here was our challenge. We had these 3 topics we wanted to ask questions about, and we didn't want the survey to get to be 50 or 100 questions long. So the reason I'm unclear about that is because we went back and forth about how much to pare the questions down, or to parse out the details by adding more questions. However, there are spaces, there are text boxes for you to type in. So if you see that there is a gap in how we ask the question, you could feel free to answer in that way as well.
Okay, and perhaps there's a CE provider survey, and then a institutional provider survey.
Yes, good idea.
Thank
you. All right. Well, it's been such a pleasure being here with you. I think if there are no other questions or comments, if anybody else on the board has anything they want to share right now, we can take a couple of minutes to do that. Opening the floor one final time to everybody. All right. Well, I just want to say what a pleasure and honor it is to serve in this organization in this capacity. This group of people on the board is just second to none in terms of their commitment and dedication and the hours they put in. And a really big shout out as well to all of the committee members, the committee chairs, and the members of those committees. This is one really hardworking organization. I think we do some really good work, and I'm so excited to see what we come up with for the year to come. And I invite those of you who are here for our annual meeting to go ahead and share with us ideas that you have that you think we could do to really support you more in the coming year or two in these brand new circumstances that we have. So if you think of anything after this meeting, please know that we really want to hear that. And then the last thing that I'll say is just tremendous gratitude to Naomi for all of her hard work that she does in organizing us and keeping us on track, and getting our slides together and all of the behind the scenes work. I don't know what we would do without Naomi. So big thanks for Naomi. Andrew, did you have, or that was applause. Awesome. Okay.
He was frozen in a high five.
Frozen in a high five for a second there. That was great. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Great to be with you this evening. We look forward to future opportunities to connect with you. Good night,
Michelle,
everybody.
thank you for your leadership.
Oh, you're very welcome. My
Thank you,
pleasure.
Michelle. Thank you.
Thanks,
Good night,
Michelle.
all.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good to see you all. Take care.
Bye, Jeff.
Thanks for coming.
Yes. Thanks for coming, everybody.